A rainy night, an empty road outside the city. A pickup truck slows, wipers fighting the storm. The driver sees something through the curtain of rain, flickering red and blue lights up ahead. He pulls over, kills the engine, steps out, and freezes. A patrol car lies on its side in the ditch, hood smoking, windshield shattered. Beside it, on the wet asphalt, a female officer is sprawled, motionless, blood everywhere. Her lips move, a rasp slips out. Back up, they're not coming. He doesn't hesitate. He rips off his jacket, climbs into the wreck, cuts through the jammed seatbelt with a knife, and presses both hands hard into the wound in her abdomen. As her eyes start to roll back, he says calmly, like he's done this 1,000 times, "Stay with me. I've seen worse. You're not dying tonight." An hour later in a hospital room, the police captain stares at the officer's stitched-up wound. Perfect suturing, clean work, life-saving. His hands tremble. "Who the hell did this?" he mutters. "That's military precision." Ethan Cole is 40 years old, single father. He wakes up at 5:30 every morning in a small house on the edge of town. The kind of neighborhood where people wave from their porches but don't ask too many questions. In the kitchen, Ethan packs a lunchbox. His daughter, Chloe, sits at the table, swinging her legs, hair tied back in a messy ponytail. She's 10, all curiosity. She always asks the same thing. "Dad, how'd you get those scars on your hands?" He always gives the same answer. "Kitchen accidents. I'm clumsy." He never tells her the truth, because the truth is complicated. Ethan Cole used to be someone else, a combat medic in Army Special Forces, the guy they sent when everything had already gone to hell, in places that didn't. He saved lives under fire, stitched people back together in the dark, kept men breathing when death was already leaning over their shoulders. But that was before the explosion that killed his wife Megan during a routine traffic stop 5 years ago, before he discovered that the drug cartel operating in their quiet county was the same cartel he'd tangled with overseas, before he walked away from the uniform, the missions, the world he knew. Now he drives, hauls supplies to remote stores, lives quietly, raises Chloe alone. On his wrist he wears a black rubber bracelet. The letters are worn but still readable, "Never leave a fallen." It's 11 p.m. when Ethan finishes his last delivery run. Rain hammers the windshield. The forest. Most people avoid this route at night. Ethan doesn't mind the silence. Then he sees them, flashes of red and blue through the sheets of rain. A patrol car, upside down in the ditch, smoke curling from the bent hood. Ethan slows. Instinct screams at him, "Call 911, keep driving, don't get involved. You're not that guy anymore." But he already knows the truth. He always stops. He grabs his flashlight and steps into the rain. Up close, the wreckage is ugly. The cruiser looks like it flipped twice, maybe more. Glass litters the road. The driver's side is crushed inward. Inside, slumped over the steering wheel, is a young woman in uniform. Her badge catches his beam. Officer Riley Hart, 29, 18 months on the force. Tonight, she made a mistake. She followed a cartel lead alone. Her eyes flutter open. Blood streaks down her face. Her vest is torn. Across her abdomen, a deep, nasty gash. She tries to talk, voice barely a whisper. "Back up. Called them 20 minutes ago." Ethan feels for a pulse. It's weak. Her breathing is shallow. She's fading fast. He pulls out his phone. No signal. The trees eat reception for miles out here. Riley's hand shoots out and clamps onto his wrist. Her grip is surprisingly strong for someone bleeding out. "If you run, they'll find you too," she rasps. "They're watching." Ethan looks at her, really looks. He sees fear, pain, resignation. He sees his wife, not her face. Not exactly, but the uniform, the hopelessness, the way life is sliding away one drop at a time. He takes a breath. "Then I guess we both fight," he says. He sprints back to his truck. In the bed, hidden under an old tarp, is a battered green case, his field kit, military issue. He kept it, though he never planned to admit that to anyone. Maybe some part of him was waiting for this moment. He returns to the cruiser. Riley's eyes are closing. "Hey," he snaps. "Stay with me. What's your name?" "Riley." "Okay, Riley. I'm Ethan. I'm getting you out of here. But you do not get to pass out on me. Talk to me. Why'd you become a cop?" She tries to smile and fails. "Wanted to make a difference." "Good reason," he says. He takes in the scene quickly. The wound needs pressure. Now, the car smells like gasoline. Thick, heavy. One spark and the whole thing becomes a fireball. He makes a decision. Time to be that man again. He slides the knife from his pocket and cuts through her seatbelt. The blade is old. The movement isn't. His hands move steady. Sure. Muscle memory takes over. Riley groans as he shifts her. The wound is worse than he guessed. Deep puncture, internal bleeding likely. "This is going to hurt," he warns. "Everything already hurts." She breathes. Fair enough. He flips open the field kit. Hemostatic gauze, trauma bandage, clamps. Tools he hasn't touched in years, but they settle into his grip like they never left. He packs. Riley groans as he shifts her. The wound is worse than he guessed. Deep puncture, internal bleeding likely. "This is going to hurt," he warns. "Everything already hurts." She breathes. Fair enough. He flips open the field kit. Hemostatic gauze, trauma bandage, clamps. The wound, Riley screams. He doesn't stop. Can't. If he stops, she dies. Talk to me. He pushes. Who did this to you? She grits her teeth. Was following a suspect. Cartel SUVs boxed me in, ran me off the road. Ethan's jaw tightens. The cartel, again. Always them. How many, he asks. 2 vehicles, 6 guys, maybe more. They left me here, thought I was gone. Let's keep it that way, he says. He ties off the bandage, wrapping it tight. Field dressing. Not pretty but effective. The bleeding slows. Her breathing evens out just a little, but they're still sitting on a bomb. The gasoline smell is stronger. Fuel leaks beneath them, gathering in a shimmering puddle. Can you move? Ethan asks. I don't know. You're going to have to try. On 3, 1, 2, 3. He lifts her. She's light, too light. Adrenaline fires through his muscles. He carries her away from the wreck. 20 feet. 30, 50. Behind them, the cruiser's engine sputters and sparks. Gezaun, he shouts. He throws himself over her as the patrol car explodes. Fire tears into the night sky, lighting the trees in orange. Heat slams into them. Shrapnel whistles overhead. For a moment, there's only noise and fire. Then, just rain and the crackle of burning metal. Riley looks up at him, face lit by the blaze. You're insane, she croaks. I get that a lot, he says. He checks the bandage, still holding. He pulls his phone again. Still no service. We've got to get you to where an ambulance can find you, he says. They're not coming in here blind. I can't walk, I know. He hoists her into a fireman's carry. Her body goes limp across his shoulders, shock creeping in. The road is half a mile away, uphill, in pouring rain. Ethan has done worse. He sets his jaw and starts walking. Every step jostles the wound. Riley winces, but she doesn't complain. Tell me about your daughter, she says weakly. He glances down, surprised. What? Your jacket? She mumbles. Pocket. There's a crayon drawing in there. To Dad from Chloe. Even half conscious, she notices everything. She's still a cop. She's 10, Ethan says. Too smart for her own good. Keeps asking me to teach her how to stitch stitches. Why won't you? Because I don't want her to ever need that skill, he answers. She falls quiet for a beat. Your wife, Riley whispers. Was she a cop? His step stutters. How'd you know? The way you looked at me, she says. Like, you'd seen it before. She was, Ethan says. Megan, she died 5 years ago. Cartel ambush. Traffic stop gone bad. I'm sorry, Riley breathes. Don't be sorry, he says. Just stay alive. That's all I ask. They reach the road. Ethan sets her down gently on the shoulder. Headlights appear. A pickup slows. The driver sees the blood, the burned-out cruiser in the distance, and immediately dials 911. 15 minutes later, sirens wail through the night. Ambulance, patrol cars, chaos. Paramedics rush to Riley, cutting open her vest, examining the field dressing. One of them, an older EMT named Carlos Ramirez, stares at the gauze and bandage work. Who did this? He asks. A younger paramedic shrugs. I have no idea, but this is military-grade trauma care. Whoever it was, she'd be dead without them. 10 more minutes and she'd have bled out. Officers gather around. Ethan, what's your name? Ethan Cole. Did you see who ran her off the road? No. She was already down when I got there. You a doctor? No. Then how the hell did you? I used to be a medic, he says. A long time ago. The police captain arrives. Captain Daniel Briggs. 30 years on the job. The weight of it all sitting in the lines on his face. He takes in the scene in seconds. The burning wreck, the paramedics working. Ethan standing there soaked, steady, soaked in someone else's blood. You carried her half a mile, Briggs asks. More or less, Ethan says. She was dying. I didn't have time to worry about footprints and shell casings. Briggs studies him. The posture, the scars, the way he stays calm in chaos. What's your full name? He asks. Ethan James Cole, you military. Mr. Cole. Ethan hesitates. I was, he says. Not anymore. What branch does it matter? It does to me, Briggs replies. Ethan meets his eyes. Army Special Forces combat medic. Honorably discharged 5 years ago. Briggs nods slowly, like puzzle pieces just clicked. We'll need a statement tomorrow, he says. Right now, Ethan answers. I need to get home to my daughter. He turns toward his truck. Mr. Cole. Briggs calls after him. Thank you. You saved one of ours tonight. Ethan pauses. Just did what anyone should do, he says. At his truck door he notices something. His wrist is bare. The bracelet is gone. He scans the scene. The ambulance doors are closing. Inside, Riley lies on a gurney, face pale but alive. Their eyes meet for a second through the gap. Her hand lifts weakly. Wrapped around her wrist is his black bracelet. Never leave a fallen. Ethan gives a single nod, then slides into his truck and drives off into the rain. 3 days later, Officer Riley Hart wakes up in County General. White walls, beeping monitors, morphine haze. Captain Briggs sits beside her bed, arms crossed, expression somewhere between relief and anger. How are you feeling? He asks. Like I got hit by a truck, she mutters. He huffs. Not far off. What happened to the case? Forget the case, he says. Tell me about the man who saved you. Riley closes her eyes, remembering. Tall, she says. 6'2" maybe. Dark hair with some gray 40s, calm to calm, like none of it was new. What did he say to you? Briggs asks. That I wasn't dying tonight. She answers that he'd seen worse. She swallows. Captain, whoever he is, he knew exactly what he was doing. That wasn't some random good Samaritan. That was combat-level trauma care, perfect field work. He carried me through the forest in a storm. That's not normal. Briggs pulls out a tablet and swipes. Is this him? He asks, turning the screen. Riley stares. Ethan's DMV photo looks back at her. Yes, she says. That's him. Who is he? That, Briggs replies, is what we're trying to figure out. The investigation moves quickly. Detective Jenna Alvarez traces the truck's plates to a modest house on a quiet street. No flags, no priors. She runs Ethan's name. What she finds makes her call Briggs. You're going to want to see this, Captain. They gather in a conference room. Ethan's military records fill the screen. Half of it's blacked out, classified, but enough is visible. Ethan Cole, Army Special Forces combat medic. 7 deployments. Silver Star, expert in tactical medicine and battlefield trauma. Honorably discharged 5 years ago. Reason for separation: family hardship, spouse deceased. Briggs scrolls down. Spouse, Megan Cole. Occupation, patrol officer. Killed during a drug interdiction gone wrong. The suspects were never caught. Intelligence reports hinted at cartel involvement. The same cartel they're fighting now. Jesus, Briggs murmurs. He's been living in the middle of this the whole time. Question is, Alvarez says, is he running from them? Or waiting for them? If he wanted revenge, she adds, he'd have taken his shot years ago. Maybe he's been waiting for the right moment, Briggs says. 2 detectives drive to Ethan's house the next morning. It's just after 8 a.m. Inside, Ethan stands at the stove, flipping pancakes. Chloe sits at the table doing math homework between bites, pencil tapping. It looks normal, peaceful. The doorbell rings. Ethan has already seen the unmarked car through the blinds. He opens the door. Mr. Cole, the woman asks. That's me, he says. I'm Detective Alvarez. This is Detective Park. We'd like to ask you a few questions about the incident 3 nights ago. I already gave a statement, Ethan replies. We have some follow-ups. May we come in? He glances over his shoulder at Chloe. She's watching the doorway, eyes wide. Give me a second, he says. He walks back to the kitchen, kneels beside her chair. People for a bit. Can you go to your room and finish your homework? Am I in trouble? She whispers. No, he says. I am a little, but it's okay. She looks worried. He kisses her forehead. Everything's fine. Promise. She heads down the hallway. Ethan lets the detectives in. They sit in the living room. Small couch, old coffee table. Nothing remarkable, except for the shadow box on the wall. Alvarez notices it immediately. Inside a purple heart, a bronze star, and at the centaur a silver star. She nods toward it. That's quite a collection, she says. Ethan doesn't look at it. Old life, he replies. Detective Park flips open a notebook. Mr. Cole, we reviewed your record. You were Special Forces, combat medic. You're a specialist. That's not a question, Ethan says. Why didn't you tell us that when we asked how you saved Officer Hart? Park presses. You asked if I was a doctor, Ethan says. I said no. Then you asked if I was a medic. I said I used to be. I answered your questions. You were being evasive, Park says. Ethan meets his stare. I was being private, he corrects. There's a difference. The front door opens again. Captain Briggs steps inside. The detectives didn't know he was coming, Mr. Cole. Briggs says. We need to talk. About what? Ethan asks. About why a decorated Special Forces medic is delivering boxes to gas stations in the middle of nowhere, Briggs says. And why that same medic happens to save a cop working a case tied to the cartel that killed his wife. Silence settles over the room. Ethan's face doesn't change, but his hands curl slightly at his sides. I don't know what you're trying to imply, he says. I'm not implying anything, Briggs says. I'm laying out facts. Your wife, Megan Cole, patrol officer, killed during a cartel operation 5 years ago. The case stalled. You got out of the military, moved here, stayed quiet. Now you risk your own life to save an officer chasing that same cartel. You believe in coincidence, Mr. Cole. I believe in doing the right thing when it's in front of me, Ethan says. Briggs steps closer. What do you want from me? Ethan asks quietly. Briggs pulls out a chair and sits, eye level. Officer Hart is alive because of you, he says. But she's still in danger. The cartel knows she survived. They'll come for her again. Then do your job, Ethan snaps. Protect her. We're trying, Briggs says. Jaw tight. But these people are playing a different game now. They've got military-grade weapons, tactics, training. They've adapted. We need someone who understands how they think. Ethan shakes his head. No, we need a tactical consultant. Briggs pushes. Somebody who knows combat medicine, ambush tactics, counterinsurgency. Somebody who's been there. I said no, Ethan repeats. Why? Alvarez asks softly. He nods toward the hallway where Chloe disappeared. Because I have a daughter, he says. She needs a father, not a folded flag. Alvarez's voice softens more. Mr. Cole, if we don't stop them, she says, how many more officers die? How many more kids grow up without their parents? How many more people go through what you already did? Ethan looks away. His eyes land on the medals, the bracelet, the ghosts. He thinks of Riley bleeding out in the rain. He thinks of Megan on that roadside years ago. He thinks of Chloe, asleep in her room, trusting him to keep her world safe. What would she want him to do? The answer is obvious. She'd want him to make sure no other kid has to stand at a graveside holding a folded flag. He exhales. I'll consult, he says finally. That's it. I don't go into the field, I don't carry a gun. I look at your plans, train your people, and help you not die. That's all you get. Briggs offers his hand. Deal, he says. They shake. When can you start? Alvarez asks. Tomorrow, Ethan answers. But we do it my way. I teach your officers tactical combat medicine. I review every operation you run against these guys. And if I say something's too dangerous, you listen. Agreed, Briggs says. They begin to leave at the door. Briggs turns back. One more thing, he says, pulling a small box from his pocket. Officer Hart asked me to give you this. Ethan opens it. Inside is his black bracelet, cleaned, polished, folded over a small note, written in shaky handwriting. Never leave a fallen. Thank you for not leaving me, Riley H. Ethan stares at it for a long moment. Then he slips the bracelet back around his wrist, where it belongs. 2 weeks later, Ethan stands at the front of a police training room. 15 officers sit in front of him. Riley's there, front row. She's still healing, but she's upright, focused, alive. Captain Briggs introduces him. This is Ethan Cole, he says. Former Special Forces combat medic. He's here to teach you how to stay alive. Ethan steps forward. The first 60 seconds in a crisis decide whether you live or die, he says. I'm here so those 60 seconds work in your favor. For 3 hours he drills them. Tourniquets, wound packing, pressure points, stopping bleeding in seconds instead of minutes. He corrects their grip, their posture, their hesitations. After class, Riley makes her way over. Thank you, she says, for everything. How's recovery? He asks. Slow, she shrugs, but steady. She hesitates. The captain told me about your wife, she says. Did he? Ethan replies. I'm sorry, she says quietly. You couldn't have known, he says. Is that why you saved me? She asks. Because of her. He thinks about it. No, he says. I saved you because it was the right thing to do. But, yeah, I saw her in you. Same uniform, same courage. Riley's eyes shine. We're closing in on the cartel, she says. We're raiding one of their warehouses in 3 days. Captain wants you there. Tactical consultant. I don't go into the field, Ethan reminds her. You won't, she says. Just the command truck, but your judgment. It could be the difference between us walking out or being carried out. He thinks of the officers he just trained. Young, green, hopeful. Fine, he says, but I stay in the command vehicle. Deal, Riley says. 3 days later, just before dawn, 20 officers surround a warehouse on the outskirts of town. Ethan sits beside Briggs in a mobile command unit, screens glowing with live feeds and maps. Radio chatter crackles. Team 1 in position. Team 2 ready. Team 3 holding on the backside. Briggs looks at Ethan. Thoughts? Ethan studies the floor plans, the camera angles, the layout. Back door, he says. They'll try to run out the rear. There's probably a pressure plate or wired frame. Don't stack officers there. Keep Team 3 back, make them come out to you. How do you know? Briggs asks. Because that's what I would do, Ethan says. The raid begins. Flashbangs, shouts, officers pouring through doors. Inside, 6 cartel soldiers are caught off guard, but not completely. They're armed, desperate. Their leader, a man named Diego Vargas, sprints toward the rear exit. Team 3 is waiting, just outside the blast radius. Police, don't move. Someone shouts. Vargas grins. He raises a small device, a detonator. Come closer, he taunts. We all go together. Riley's voice comes over the radio, tense. Captain, he's got explosives. Ethan grabs the mic. Riley, do you see a wire running from the detonator? He asks. Yeah, she says. Red wire. It's running to a switch on the door frame. Do not let him touch that door, Ethan says. If he hits it, the building goes up. You won't have time to run. Take the shot. There's a second of silence. Then Riley. Copy, she says. 1 shot. Clean. The gunshot is loud even through the speakers. Vargas drops. Detonator clatters to the concrete. Harmless. Target down. Comes the call. Building clear. All suspects secure. No officers down. Briggs exhales slowly. That was too damn close, he mutters. It always is, Ethan says. Later, in the debrief room, everyone looks wrung out but alive. Briggs stands at the front. Tonight, we dismantled a major cartel hub, he says. We took them down with 0 officer casualties. That doesn't happen by luck. That happens because of preparation, training, and because one man refused to let us walk into an ambush blind. He nods toward Ethan. Ethan Cole reminded us why the badge matters, Briggs says. To protect, to serve, to never leave a fallen. Applause fills the room. Officers who barely looked at Ethan 2 weeks ago now stand straighter in his presence. Riley walks up holding something. It's his silver star. This belongs here, she says, pinning it to the station's wall of honor, so everyone remembers what real courage looks like. I didn't do this for recognition, Ethan says quietly. I know, she says. That's exactly why you deserve it. He stares at the medal, at the photos of the fallen around it. His past and present finally feel connected. Briggs grips his hand firmly. You saved one of my officers, he says. Then you saved my entire team. We owe you everything. Ethan looks around at the room full of living, breathing people. You don't owe me anything, he replies. Just promise me one thing. What's that? Briggs asks. Go home safe, Ethan says. To your families. Every single night. Briggs nods. That's a promise, he says. As Ethan leaves, officers line the hallway, nodding in respect as he walks through. Riley walks him out. You know you changed everything here, right? She says. He looks back at the station. Lights glowing. Voices inside. Life, no, he says. I just reminded you of what you already knew. He gets into his truck and drives home to Chloe, to quiet, to something like peace. The hero who never wanted to be one. 1 year later, Ethan stands in front of a small classroom. 20 civilians sit in folding chairs. Nurses, teachers, truck drivers, people who just want to be ready if the worst happens. The sign above the door reads, Call First Response Training, because everybody should know how to save a life. In the back row, Chloe watches, now 13, pride all over her face. Ethan demonstrates CPR on a dummy. Most people freeze in emergencies, he says. That's normal, but if you train, you can override the panic. Muscle memory will do the work when your brain can't. A woman raises her hand. What if we mess up, she asks. What if we do it wrong? Ethan smiles. Then you mess up, he says. But doing something is always better than doing nothing. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life. People still lived. After class, Riley walks in no uniform now. Jeans, jacket she made detective last month. Hey stranger, she says. Detective Hart. He nods. Nice badge. Congratulations. Thanks, couldn't have gotten here without you, she says. They step out into the parking lot. Sunsets turns the cars gold. She hands him a folder. Thought you'd want to see this, she says. We closed Megan's case. Inside are mugshots and reports. 3 men, all cartel, all in custody. Ethan stares at them. He feels nothing sharp. No rage. No craving for revenge. Just a dull, steady sense of closure. Thank you, he says. It doesn't fix it. Riley says. No, he agrees. But it means she didn't die for nothing. They stand in silence for a moment. You ever think about coming back full time? She asks. Consulting with the department again. He shakes his head. This is where I belong, he says, nodding toward the classroom. Teaching people skills I hope they never have to use. It's quieter, safer. She prompts that too, he admits. Chloe comes out, backpack slung over one shoulder. Hey Riley, she grins. Hey kiddo, Riley says. Your dad teaching you all his secrets yet? Some, Chloe says. He says I have to be older before he shows me the hardcore stuff. Ethan ruffles her hair. Because the hardcore stuff is also the scary stuff, he says. They watch Chloe climb into the truck and turn up the radio. You know what I realized, Riley says. You never really stop being a soldier. You just change missions. Ethan thinks about that. Maybe, he says. Or maybe I finally figured out what I was fighting for the whole time. And what's that? She asks. Not medals, not revenge, he says. Just making sure good people get to go home to their families. Riley nods. She understands more than most. She gives him a quick hug. The world needs more people like you, she says. The world needs more people who try, he replies. Everyone's got something to give. She walks away. Ethan climbs into the truck. On the rearview mirror hangs his black bracelet. He doesn't wear it on his wrist anymore, a man who stopped one rainy night and changed everything.